workshop of our XION BELIEVATHON. Today is the second workshop session, and we have an incredible developer workshop today, which is about Let's Gamify, an engagement guide for Web3. Sounds super exciting. And before we start, let me give you some background of this hackathon. As the largest Web3 developer incentive platforms, it's an honor for DoraHacks to support the XION BELIEVATHON. And we're looking forward to all the incredible projects building on top of XION. And today we're very happy to have here Riccardo, Accelerator lead at Outlier Ventures. And without further ado, let's welcome Riccardo to start. And for the audience, if you have questions, feel free to just drop them in the comment section of Binance Live or YouTube.
Awesome. Thanks so much for the intro. Thanks, guys, for organizing the hackathon. Thanks to XION, DoraHacks. So today we have very special topics. This workshop, it's an interactive workshop, so I recommend you to stay to play together after presentation. And it's about gamification and engagement in Web3. We're gonna break down the workshop into two parts. Let me share on screen. So first part, I'm gonna go over a quick inspirational benchmark of some best cases in Web3 and Web2 about gamification practices that we can learn. And then we're gonna have an exercise to see how you can adapt those and see how they would fit into your product. So let's get started because we want to make the most out of the time together. So as I mentioned, this is a design thinking workshop. What's the objective? So hopefully you're gonna leave this with a clear idea of what gamification is. A lot of people get a bit off by the word gamification because they think, oh, maybe I have a B2B platform, it's not meant for me. I don't want to make it too gamish, but the idea of gamification is the application of elements of game playing to other areas of activity, typically as online marketing technique to encourage engagement with the product or service. So the idea is that we look at an industry which is gaming, which is renewally doing very well to keep engagement at high level, to see what we can learn from their elements and apply into your business to keep the engagement high. Especially like gaming, it's really important in a way that we as human or as animals, we always tend to learn, explore the world via gaming. Think of the lions playing with each other. So it's part of our nature to learning and growing. So we cannot avoid like looking at this playful way to learn, because there's a lot of emotions deep there that we can direct into our consumer when we integrate into the apps, but we're gonna see it together. So where gamification can help. One thing that I really want you to think about is that you want to approach gamification with a really laser focus high. You cannot just simply gamify on a broad level, just doing a cocktail of all different game elements, thinking that the engagement is going to be high as a result. I want you to first think where are your pain points in your current customer journey, and see if there is any game elements that we can apply there. So there's, if you think of the full customer journey end to end, there's many steps where gamifications can help. On the first axis, so like we can make onboarding easier, use, share, reward, and loyalty. So for first access, it's probably going to be something related to how to break down barrier friction in terms of UI to make it simpler to understand. On the usage side, maybe creating leaderboards or competitions that reinforce the usage of the product. Share is about creating the social ties that makes your product more viral, the increase your referrals, and finally loyalty, so the rewards, incentives for you to stay in the platform to create that lock-in. So depending where is the pain point of your customer journey, you might look at one game elements or the other. why do we give this workshop in a Web3 course or Web3 settings? Because in Web3 we have some special weapons. We have tokens, we have digital collectibles, NFTs, and we have governance. So by design, most of the Web3 apps tend to have gamification elements. So think about when you're structuring your token design, you're probably gonna have to go over a bit of the game design by itself just to structure the token. But then one thing that I realized as an accelerator lead at Outlier Ventures is because of the token conversations, people tend to be over focused on the financial aspect or just the token incentive rewards, when there is a whole world of different emotions and other things that can also come cheaper to you that can drive in engagement even more than the token rewards or airdrops by itself. So just a little background about me. I mentioned at Outlier Ventures, I'm the accelerator lead there. We are the largest Web3 accelerator. We have 300 companies in portfolio. We invest in about 80, 90 companies every single year. That's our capacity now. We've seen a lot of companies structuring their product. And before Outlier Ventures, I also had a company, my own startup in the entertainment space, and I helped big enterprises in their gamification practices. So that's a bit of the background why I'm doing this here. And one thing I learned through this process is that, as I mentioned, people think that what's gonna keep a user loyal to a platform is mostly like doing it for financial rewards, but there is a whole world of motivation that drives people, and you can trigger those if you know how to play with game design in an effective way. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna go through inspirational benchmark. It's not exhaustive. It's not every game element that you find around. It's just a selection of some base cases that I like it myself. And then keep those in mind. If there's something that really resonates with you, with your product, that you would see applied, keep it on the back of your head, because after this presentation, we're gonna do game like design thinking together. We're gonna do a little interactive workshop, so you will have the chance to apply to your own product. So just keep your eyes open on the next ones. Let's start with the first one. It's one that's been really popular, really discussed in the recent months because of the election, which is Polymarket. And the key learning that we can get from Polymarket is as I mentioned, whenever you introduce an element of financial rewards, financial stakes, it kind of overrides every other incentives. So it's a double-edged sword. If you're, for example, rewarding user for something, an activity that they would already done organically, you're kind of cannibalizing the motivation of the users, making everything really transactional. Everything becomes when you introduce financial rewards, everything becomes a way to outsmart the game. But in the case of Polymarket, for example, it's kind of useful in a way that it kind of wipes out all the chaos and the pollution that comes associated with casting your forecast. And because there is a financial stake there, it's proven that the Polymarket forecasts were actually more effective than the traditional polls. So it actually plays in their favor. If you want to apply the same strategy as Polymarket, you might want to understand if the ulterior motives that are driving people could be a bias rather than not. So in this case, it probably is, and it makes sense to tie to strong financial incentives there. A different case, for example, is Step. So Step is famous as a gamification of Web3 because of the walk to earn mechanisms. But if you only rewarding users for the activity of walking, then it's also sort of a zero-sum game. So you want to tie those financial incentives with the other elements. And what Staten did really well was with the element of the shoes and the leveling up, managed to transform this those level into a status recognition. So in that gap that you create, the value from the status recognition, that's the value creation, where the value creation takes place. Otherwise, it's just zero-sum game. The rewards that you give out is just what the user is going to perform in a very transactional mindset. So you want to tie maybe the every two earn elements with something from the status, sense of belonging, sense of progress. That's where the value is generating gamification. Another example is the need for social bonding, and this always oftentimes is connected to the element of the NFT, digital collectibles, when they're used as a gate to access certain events or activities or perks. And this, what happened, for example, with Bored Apes, kind of unveiled a need for social bondings and meetups in real life. There was this project, was called the DNRR, which kind of tied in the Experience Dining Club with this membership card in the form of NFTs that really plays around on this idea of creating bringing this social bonding that you have on your community into the real life with the NFT gated access experiences. Another great case is Riddle. Riddle is a platform, like publishing platform, and the royalties from they're generated from the books. If you contributed to the book success through your freelance works, most of it was contributing with the artwork, with fund generated stories, or everything that could contribute to the author's success. Then the author would share with you via the token of these tokenized books the royalties from the success of his book. So maybe an example of where this was applied, it was a company that went through the Accelerator, which is a platform for a social media for skaters. And that's another case where there were these two categories, really creative subcategory of the users that were doing a lot of graffiti arts and street arts that matched really well with the skater community. So adapting a very similar strategy in a way that the rewards were kind of like synergetic between the original creators and the artistic part of the community. You can unlock all this multidisciplinary user-generated content when you do the incentive rights. Another good one is to look at is Pokemon Go. A lot of people reconnect the idea of Pokemon Go with just the typical user UI where you would catch Pokemon around the city. But there is one element that was really key for Pokemon Go to survive beyond the initial hype, because the game itself is not so entertaining. It's pretty repetitive after a while. But they managed to be a successful game because they introduced this element of planning, teaming up, and conquering the gyms around. So you have these free colors, and you want the gyms around you to be to be conquered and by your team. So it's something like this, for example, that can happen for when you have an experience which is really individualistic and you want to transform something which is a solo experience into a team experience. This is a good strategy for turning games into that. This is a very typical one. DeFi Kingdom. I don't know how many of you were in the previous bull market, previous DeFi summer, but DeFi Kingdom was really good example of gamification, because they really broke down the barriers of onboarding new users into DeFi. They realized a lot of the activities that you were doing in DeFi would really talk one-to-one to activities that you would have in a strategic game. So they thought, why don't we give that same representation? We bring a framework which is more familiar to a lot of the users, and users learn along the way to all the activities of farming, staking, adding to liquidity pool, harvesting, and
Yeah.
do you have a question? Yeah, almost. And there is another element that they were also doing really well in the Pi Kingdom. I mean, they also stretched the edge of gamification when I started introducing the avatars or these characters. Not everyone bought into the more broader aspect of gaming, but a lot of people actually got closer to DeFi through this onboarding idea. And the other aspect that they really nailed down in the DeFi application of gamification was they play on this emotion of fear of losing progress, fear of losing accumulated rewards. So if you remember the pools, all the accumulated rewards, they were vesting, and they were explicitly showing, oh, you have only 10% of the rewards you produce that's already available to harvest. If you unstake your money from the pool, you're gonna lose access to these accumulated rewards. This is a really strong emotion, and it's one where you can play a lot with in game design to artificially create the fear of losing progress. So in general, if you want to use DeFi Kingdom, always think if there is a framework that it's easier to break down, to make it more accessible on a mental level for your user. So if there is another application we've been working with that they decided to, for example, to play on the analogy with people going to the moon and breaking down all the different element of a wallet, this meteor wallet on here. Next case, this is a really strong one, which is called denial of rewards. Breaking down all there are some there are some games that by design, especially indie games, that are playing on this idea of denial of rewards in a climax of building frustration. So you would think like frustration as a negative emotion you want to avoid in your game design, but oftentimes it's actually a strong leverage to create this kind of addiction to the game. So how do you artificially create that trigger of loop of starting games over and over? There's a few elements that in the list here on the left. I would say the two most important elements are the near miss mechanics, because when you've been so close to getting the closing your positive reinforcement, your positive feedback, getting to a success, but you near miss the achievements, then you have a strong incentives to restart the game over and over again. And the second one is actually what I mentioned before, like punitive feedback loops, create setbacks for failure. So the idea of this losing progress kind of thing. Flappy Birds is a good example. It's something that you see in a lot of the indie games. And if you notice, for example, when you're scrolling through Instagram, social media, and you have ads for games, sometimes you have these strategic games where you would see someone else playing and he's playing really bad, and it trigger your emotion of this is just I want to rage bait. I want to play the game to show it was so easy. I would have done it. They're actually playing on these emotional triggers. And as part of the punitive feedback loops, as I mentioned, one of the most effective strategy in gamification is the fear losing progress, in particular accumulated rewards. The way you can make it more evident is using the game elements of streaks. So if you play Duolingo, you probably know this, the emotional drama of losing your streak. It's something that keeps you up to one, acquiring good habits if you're doing for the right things, but also like it's something that really creates that addiction to the app. And one of the key metrics, if you want to have a consumer app, you want to have returning users. You want to make sure that the abandon rate is low. So the streaks element, if it's not too forced, it's well placed into the game design, it's very effective. Streaks, that's the name of the apps that you're seeing here, really wanted to elevate the idea of the streaks element. And they decided to make the entire app super minimalistic just to play around the streaks idea. So sometimes the other learning is that sometimes you don't want to mix and match too many elements because they tend to maybe cannibalize each other or making your application too heavy. So the fine level is always to think by introducing these new game elements, am I making it lighter, easier to understand, easier to onboard, easier to use the apps, or am I making it heavier? If I'm and really scream down which game elements you want to have. Don't add too many. Some other best case, I would mention Introverse. They recently got a very successful campaign with Linea. They brought a lot of transaction chain. What they're doing is these meme fights, usually between two communities of meme coins. And the idea is that you have you're staking on your favorite pool where whichever community you belong to, and the one that wins with bigger staking is taking the liquidity from the other pool. But the very good thing they did is it's pretty dry competition, right? You would be looking at a screen in with a couple of staking pools and see what's happening. So what they're doing is, on top of that, they're actually giving this Street Fighter kind of activation, so that they capture more entertainment. Through the entertainment, they're capturing more audience to tune in for the event, and that's the element of entertainmentation. So if you give people, you're seeing a lot in the current politics that everything is entertainment. I see with Donald Trump. Just give them a reason to tune in, having everything, all the eyes capture for a limited time frame where you could benefit eventually both of the community through that strategy. And the other elements that they're adding is, by doing these events, eventually you do the cross-fertilization of the two communities. So if you know this, for example, in YouTube, when you have the singers, they do a lot of mashups because it's a way for one to tap into the other communities. Or if you see like, that's pretty much what Logan Paul is going to be doing with their fights. It's just tapping into the different user target when you're facing a challenger. Drop TV. I think it's a final use case that I wanted to bring. The idea is that they play in the industry of shoptainment. I don't know how many of you are familiar, but the idea is as more and more people who were born into this Gen Z generation, the TikTok generation, they've been used to process content in a video format, and they eventually realize that when you're the moment where you're more susceptible to make a purchase is when the moment where your maximum engagement with the brand is, and the moment of the video that you get to learn the product itself, where you have an emotional connection with the product. So in that process of having to leave the platform, going into the e-commerce, having the login in those steps, your conversion rate already decreased a lot from making the elements purchasable directly from video on top. So the idea is if you have the possibility, always cut the number of steps that takes you away from a purchase, from an action that you want to the users to take. And the other element is understanding in your customer journey the emotional roller coaster of your user. What's the tip of the emotional connection? You want to intercept the users at the moment of the maximum engagement. What Drop TV did is it's also Web3 projects. They have these social token to reward the creators, and they managed to play into this shoptainment kind of industry. That's another example here at the bottom, Aka, which is like a survey platform. They also understood that when we provide more engagement, video, if you have the option to do video, always do video. It's more like addictive and keeps the eye on screen. And this ADHD new generation always do, and cut the number of steps that takes you away from the purchase or a call to action you want. One more, which is going through a bit of history of Shiba Inu. So I know that we have a track for meme coins on the hackathon. So I wanted maybe to mention this one. If you have to reward your user for something, you might want to optimize for the value that they bring. And the rate to earn, it's actually a pretty strong technique. I know that there is a lot more to earn. A lot of meme coins might want to connect Telegram app with the tap to earn. But I would say right to earn was pretty effective because one way distributed the Shiba Inu tokens a bit more fairly to a larger user base. And it was a moment where the main narrative was DeFi in the last bull cycle, and a lot of the retails, they just felt a bit cut out from because they wouldn't be bringing too much liquidity. They were kind of cut out of the game. So what the meme coins movement kind of managed to do was to involving on these leftover target users. And what's the emotional bias here is that when you're calculating subconsciously the returns of your investment, of course, if your denominator is 0 because you haven't provided financial exposure to it, you just earn the token by your activity, you tend to not give strong value to the time and the effort you put in. So of course, when your denominator is 0, then your rewards or perceived yield on the rewards goes to infinite. So the amount of effort and the willingness to help to the community, they just go above and beyond for just the little token they have just for the dream to eventually being meme coin millionaires, and that paid back. So if you look at the Shiba Inu, I think they kind of nailed down for the success back in the days with that combination of having the staking with Shiba Swap, leveraging this rate to earn strategy to build community and to get the most out of the community and their activity. And they have frequent token bar. So the other thing that you learn from them is kind of try to have some events that are eye-catching, that just put a milestone and attract the users for specific events, like the token bar, and then just be so like concentrate all the attention to have this spike of interest that drives even more organic interest with specific big rates, and then having something more just your communication keeps on going with your community on a day-to-day. And so that's it. What I'm gonna do now is so this was a sort of inspirational benchmark, and now what we're gonna do is try to keep in mind one or two or some of the use case that we've seen together that resonate with you, and it's your turn to kind of think about how would they look like into your product. So the idea is asking yourself, how would it look like if your app met Steppen, Polymarket, or DeFi Kingdom? We just get cross-industry use case applied to your product. And we're doing through an exercise which is called the round robin. I'm going to explain in a minute. Just to mention that this is a workshop that I tend to give also through the Outlier Ventures Accelerator. We've done this in past. I brought here a couple of examples that actually from the design thinking resulted into a feature that the teams decided to prioritize in their product roadmap. One I mentioned before is this Skater social media platform where you earn NFT when you close a trick that they recognize with their AI algorithm. And they decided to apply the Pokemon Go idea of climbing apps to transform their sport that would otherwise be very individualistic to be something that can be a social experience. And the other one was an app for reviews in Web3 with your DID to kind of being incentivized to leave truthful and verified review on the during your travels. And one thing they realize is that maybe the way we ask for review is a bit too invasive and takes too much time. And if they apply the Tinder kind of UI and Gamify in a Tinder style with that interaction, they actually manage to get their conversion to much higher level, and the spots left unreviewed through the trip are very much lower down. So let's see, for example, on the Skater and Pokemon Go, how did they get to this idea, this final idea to apply there into the 3 steps. This is what the round robin is. This is design thinking exercise. Some of you can stay in the call if you want to do it, or you can play with your team. But the idea is you get 3 different opinions, 3 different person, 3 different people working on the same idea, so that you get your original idea applied to your business, and that you get some independent view from a different person. In their case, for example, the phase 0, as I mentioned, is don't try to apply gamification to everything in your app. Try to laser focus on something that is not working. So just provide the one-liner to understand what your startup is about, and then the problem you want to take. In the case of the skaters, make the app a more social experience. Then phase 1 is pick one of the use case we mentioned above that you want to apply to your business, and think how would it look like if that met my startup. In this case, is, okay, I want to be like Pokemon Go, introduce clans so that the skaters, just like the Pokemon Gym where you conquer the Pokemon Gym, they will conquer a shred spot by performing the trick with the highest difficulty rate. And then basically you would do that not just for you, but you would do it for your clan, for your clan red, yellow, blue. And then what we do in round robin, once you have that paper in front of you, this is my startup, this is my idea, then you move to the right. So you pass over your paper to whoever is on your right that's gonna work on your idea, and you're gonna be working on the one on your left. So just to follow, if you see the arrows here, you just follow the color. So for example, you were the yellow one, you're gonna be work on the step 2 on the blue one. So in the phase 2 is third party that is working on your idea is gonna be sharing all the risks they see in the idea. So on the example of the skater guy is, what if the trick is too hard to beat? The spot might not change owner for too long and the engagement goes really low. Finally, you change once more, so you get another point of view for a third person. And this phase 3 is reading through the use case, reading through the risk associated, and proposing a revised idea that can overcome those risks. So this third person proposed the idea that the difficulty level was tied to reverse countdown. So the more time the shred spot was conquered by the clan, the lower over time the difficulty rate to reconquer that spot goes. And finally, basically the idea is rationalize everything and pitching. So from this shred spot use case, what we learn is, I think when we include clan, people will team up and they translate into referral. So we increase the virality of the apps. Social ties decrease dropout. So if you're new to approach skateboarding, then you find in the clan, in the application, the social ties you need to keep going with the sport. New skills are introduced because it's not only about at this point to perform the perfect trick, but it's also about who is more active in spotting these shred spots where you can actually conquer it for your team, because some of them maybe just have a lower rating of difficulty. And finally, like through the team affiliation, encourage social engagement on poster and force learning, flexing the achievements in the form of NFTs. So just to recap, this is in 4 steps what an application that we did into one of our accelerated dApps in one of our programs. And now it comes to you. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to show, I created a Zoom whiteboard that I can pull out. Yeah. And we can play it directly in Zoom. We're not going to have enough time probably to finish the whole exercise, but I just want to make sure you guys have the rules of the game clear in your mind and answering your question. So if you see here, I'm going to zoom in. You can follow me. You can interact directly on screen. And you can basically move around the whiteboard. This is the use case I just explained, with shred spot meets Pokemon Go with the Skater Go. And now what we're going to do is exactly the same. You can put your name up here in one of these boxes. And I'm going to take off the online on me so you can move around. You can just put your name up here and follow your color. So for the first part, we only do phase 0 and 1. You're just gonna provide your one-liner of your startup, the problem you want to tackle, and then you go up here above, and you will find all the different slides that we've been discussing today. So, for example, let's say Dr. Slim wants to apply to his company. Let's say I want to use the meme fights. I just copy paste the slides from up here, the meme fights with introverse, and apply to my one-liner and see how it looks like. I will stop here for a question and leave some time for you to start the exercise. Yeah.
Actually, I have a similar idea what you have said. It matches all the criterias, but it's not a problem. We are not solving a problem, but we are giving an experience. We are trying to build a fantasy gaming app for esports. So right now, YouTubers actually play games online, right? And so we are building a new platform out of which the viewers can bid on the teams. I mean, do you understand what is a fantasy gaming app, or do you want me to explain?
No, I'm familiar. I actually play fantasy football for a long time
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. So similarly, we are building it for YouTube and Twitch. So we want to build a platform along with that where we can track the progress of each individual players and which allows to build the clans. Like each channel can collaborate with each other and host tournaments. Yeah. So all of these features.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I mean, your use case is a gamification use case by itself. Now you could use this exercise to see if there's something that you can take cross-chain, like cross-industry, to apply there. You might want to be something like, I'll make an example. If you own a specific player in your app, maybe gives you access to their member community, like in real life gated experience like DNR. Or for example, how do you draft your team in the fantasy gaming app? Maybe you want to consider having a Tinder swipe kind of interaction, like yes, no. Or you might want to, I don't know, maybe looking at the poly market example and having staking pools into the different players. So you could use this exercise to find like creative gamification features that could improve engagement even further.
Yeah. Good.
So I'll give you guys three more minutes to play around just with the phase 0. So make sure you feel all the one-liner for the next person after you're working on your use case to have the full picture and being able to contribute. And then if you have questions, I'm here around. I'll just go quiet to let you think. Okay, I see we're in a good place. It's actually one of the fastest for working on the idea, so it's great. So what we're gonna do now is if you follow your color, so for example, let me put this on green. So we're gonna have Subash working on the phase 2 of Dr. Slim. So you're gonna look into the next column on the right, familiarize with their one-liner, their solution, and you're gonna propose the risk that you see. You can overwrite this actually. And we're gonna have Dr. Slim working on the right on the Ivan loop idea. So you're gonna familiarize with everything in green, and you're gonna propose the risk that you see, why the proposed solution is not gonna be working. So right now you guys are the party pooper. If it helps you putting in the shoes of party pooper, think of yourself as a member of the finance department, the legal department. They're always good to find the right the reason why things cannot be done. So we've been dreaming big. Now it's time to rationalize things and see where we can fail. So Ivan, you're actually working on the first one. So I'll put this one in green. Follow, guys, follow your color. Hi, Steph from Changles. I see that you join now. If you have any question, let me know. And yeah, just do the first couple of phases. It's about putting your one-liner, the problem you want to solve, and pick a reference case from above if you want.
Someone is editing my color, I mean orange colored card, sticky notes.
Yeah. In which column? The third one?
Third one here.
Maybe
Third
just
one
put
last.
the. Let me do this. Let me. So yes, sure. Just add yours in the second one so that we don't. Yeah. And then, guys, we have a couple of more minutes, and then you can play this as well with your team or with friends if you want to have some more objective external opinion. This is called round robin. It's pretty easy to find the instruction on the internet. I'll give maybe a couple of minutes, and if there is any brave volunteer that want to pitch me his gamification use case, I will include him. If it's good use case, I will include him in the workshop in the future.
Hey Rick, how's it going?
All good. What's your question?
Oh, I've just got a good edition of a like a Web2 gamification existing example you can use in the future. There's a email outreach platform out there called Apollo.io, and they give you lots of points for additional usage of the platform based on doing like tutorials and going through their hoops to learn the platform, which fits into what you were describing. So if you were to sign up to Apollo.io, you get like a certain amount of credits, and then you can get a bunch more credits without upgrading by doing like specific tutorials, making a list, sending emails, filtering down, etc. Like their use case, which is like a Web2 company doing what you're talking about.
That's nice. Thanks for plugging. I'll try it out. Recently, I was thinking about adding a new one on the AI agent side. There is very interesting one where an AI is creating arts, and you can vote about. So it's kind of the community shaping the artistic sense of the AI, and you have like a limited budget that you allocate every week. It's kind of a cool concept. Guys,
Yeah.
we're almost on time on the workshop. I don't know if maybe one of you wants to pitch his idea. Lucas, maybe? Would you feel?
Oh, this was like just a
comfortable?
brainstorm. My company that I'm actually building is totally separate from this. This was just like an idea flow that like matches potentially the use case.
Yeah, I've been reading through. It sounds pretty promising. Do you want to pitch it to us?
Well, this, I mean, I just came up with this like right now.
Yeah, exactly. This is what the workshop's about. Everything is made on the spot.
Well, token allocation for relevancy building, incentivizing successful hackathon outcomes related to what you want built. So if it's a Gamify hackathon, you could allocate some tokens to the hackathon pool, and those tokens could be reallocated to the projects which are building most relevant. And that relevancy can be either determined with AI or determined with a Polymarket's betting style of tokenomics integrated into that for example.
Awesome. And the risk is people may not participate due to fear of losing money. And the revised idea is a community dashboard for hackathon devs stream with editor information to vote on relevancy of other players, other projects of the hackathon tracks, and token distributed more accordingly to that poly market vibe. Yeah, it's pretty nice. Like it.
I'd also like to say that I really like your example of the DeFi kingdom. I think that idea of like putting like actual real life use cases behind the tokenomics is super cool. Like build a castle and like, you know, invest the tokens or distribute them to staking, like putting really abstracting away that tokenomics into game elements, which we're familiar. I think that's super cool. That's very interesting.
Yeah. We're visual animals. So like a lot of the gamification is to making emerging things that are already there, like helping the retailers, the end users to visualize. So the DeFi Kingdom is really, really great case. It's not great that my bags are still locked into Harmony, but I'm doing it for science.
Yeah, because it relates, as you say, it relates exactly to like strategy games. All the concepts are abstracted away. Like that is just super cool. Traditional finance concepts abstracted away to strategy games that we already know how to play. That was quite good to think about.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop in the chat the link to this dashboard because we can keep using it async. And thanks so much for everyone that got to the end. Thank you for everyone that watched the presentation, to everyone that played, and thank for the organizer of the hackathon. Yeah. You're on mute, Jen.
Also on my end, like thanks a lot for this great workshop. At the beginning, the presentation was incredible, and I really liked this like interactive session where people could like brainstorm, iterate on their idea. Hopefully it brings something. So I'm also very excited to see what you guys are building at this hackathon. There will be more cool sessions like this, so stay tuned, and hopefully you will join us also at the future sessions.
If you have any doubts on the product or gamification side, you can connect with me either LinkedIn or Twitter. I'm always available. So I'm going to be around if you need me. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Riccardo. Have a nice
Bye.
day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you guys, and see you next time.
Thank you guys. Ciao.